He stepped out to take a phone call, and Zach is hosting today. Kevin actually is not feeling well, so we wish him the best. Y'all
All right.
are on.
All right, JP, thank you for that intro. We are the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show today with Zach, Dennis, and Shannon. Just like JP said, Kevin's not feeling this well this week, so if you're listening in, Kevin, hope you get to feeling better and get back in here tomorrow morning for the Saturday morning sports talk show, the Shock Jock. So, Shannon, how you doing this week?
It's been a busy week.
Been a busy week. I know I'm on vacation this week, so it seemed like you'd have a lot of time to do stuff, but a lot of times when you're on vacation, you don't have a lot of time like you think you'll have sometimes. So we're looking at the schedules this week. We've got a couple big games this week. A couple that's going to be maybe not as heavy hitting as we've had the last couple weeks. But if we'll start on that first column over there, if you'll read the first column, Shannon, I'll go ahead and read the second column of our games that are coming up this week.
Talking about the column on the
over here.
Right,
Yep.
Okay. All right. States will be at East Lincoln. Am I on? Can you hear me? I was trying to see if you can hear me. Okay. States will.
You're hitting. Yep.
Okay. States will be at East Lincoln. Stuart Kramer will be at Crest. East Gaston at Cherville. Chase, big Rutherford County rivalry, will go to East Rutherford. Brevard will be at RS Central. Hendersonville will be traveling down to Polk County. Mitchell will be going to Owen. Lake Norman Charter will be at Albemarle. Christ the King will be at Corvian Community in Charlotte. Bishop McGinnis will be at Winston-Salem Carver. Mountain Island Charter will be at Community School of Davidson. And Winston-Salem Prep will be at Pine Lake Prep.
All right, and the next column we got today, we got the Shelby Golden Lions taking on the Thomas Jefferson Griffins. We got the Highland Tech Rams taking on the Bessemer City Yellow Jackets. We got the Maiden Blue Devils. This should be a pretty good matchup with that Maiden Blue Devils traveling to West Lincoln Rebels this week. We got the East Burke Cavaliers traveling to the Bandish Trojans. Lincoln Wolves playing the Newton Conover Red Devils. West Caldwell Warriors playing the Bunker Hill Bears. Mountain Heritage Cougars playing the Roseman Tigers. Swain County Maroon Devils playing the Madison Patriots. Drone Wildcats playing the Avery Vikings. North Surrey Greyhounds playing Forbush Falcons. West Wilkes Blackhawks taking on East Surrey Cardinals. And North Wilkes Vikings taking on Wilkes Central Eagles. I put a little one down here because I didn't see it in our page this week. Maybe I just overlooked it, but there's a huge game with Starmount versus Mount Airy. Both teams coming in undefeated this week, and that's our friend is it Greg Lloyd. I'm thinking is over Starmount.
I'll have some comments about that when we do our
Come on,
picking.
Dennis. Come on, Dennis.
5-0.
Dennis, I was going to try to wear my Burns attire in here today for you today, just for you guys, but
Well, it's a
it
good
was
thing
dirty this week.
It's a good thing you didn't Will come in later.
And I was going to wear it for Will also. We're in our columns today. Dennis, would you mind reading that last column of games on the docket tonight?
Okay, I'm just going to start up at the top.
That's
with
fine.
A game of interest locally because North Gaston has got a winning streak.
Mm-hmm.
One.
Yes, sir.
They're taking on Kings Mountain Mountaineers. South Point Red Raiders are taking on the Hunter Huss Huskies. That's a sort of a local rivalry there between the Gastonia's area. Ashbrook Green Wave is taking on the Forest View Jaguars, another Gastonia rivalry there, if you want to call it that. And the surprise team of the year to me, the Hickory Red Tornadoes, are taking on the North Lincoln Knights. And
that's the maybe the game that Hickory. So as we talked about last week, East Lincoln needs them to lose. That might be one of the ones on the maybe that they might flub. But I don't think they will. I watched them last week. Hickory's very good.
I'll have some comments when we do our picking on that one too. West Iredell Warriors taking on the Fred T. Ford Tigers. The North Iredell
Raiders
are taking on the St. Stephen's Indians. The Inca Jets are taking on the Rockets. So we got Rockets and Jets. Now, which one's going to blast off tonight? I don't know.
Both of them's got losing records, so somebody's going to have to.
Yeah. Asheville Cougars, Irwin Warriors tonight. North Buncombe Blackhawks versus the Roberson Rams. Tuscola Mountaineers versus the Franklin Panthers. The East Henderson Eagles are playing the West Henderson Falcons. And the North Henderson Vikings are taking on the Smoky Mountain Mustangs.
Okay, well, we got some of the games coming up. I know the first one, Shannon, we actually talked about before the Dennis had to step out, so we was talking about, matchups. We was looking at this the schedule this week, see what kind of matchups might stand out to us. Go ahead. Some matchups stand out to us, and definitely this week, East Lincoln had a tough road last week when they went up into Hickory. I actually was trying to videotape some of that game. Very good team East Lincoln has, not quite as good as they were last year. Don't have as many, I don't think, as much speed that I noticed as I saw last year. They went to Hickory. Hickory's loaded. They got a humongous running back in Hickory. He did a very good job of controlling that line of scrimmage, getting the ball down the field. This week, East Lincoln comes up. They play in Statesville. Statesville's not as good as they normally are this year. I think you guys have seen that. But they could be a little bit of trouble for East Lincoln. East Lincoln can't afford to lose, is what I'm saying.
No, they can't. And the thing is, you said East Lincoln may not be as good as they were last year. Well, maybe Hickory's a lot better than they were last year. And, it's just one of those things that, Hickory's going to have athletes. They've always had talent. They just had to have the right person in there. And now Coach Glass is there. And that's where he is at Hickory, right? I was thinking.
I believe so.
Joe Glass. Yeah. Anyway, so whoever
he was from Lincoln. He was the guy from Lincoln.
Then went to. Yeah, he was at Lincoln. That's correct. Yeah, yep. And so he's there, and now you've got, you got the right guy leading them, and you get the right talent in there. The guys coming through. It's actually a perfect storm for them, and Hickory is actually, or Hickory and East Lincoln both 3A. So Hickory's now, everybody's talking about, well, if you're going to win a championship, you're going to have to play East Lincoln. You have to go through East Lincoln to get there. Well, now it looks like you're going to have to go through Hickory to get there as well.
Yeah, they fielded very well last week. A good-sized team, a lot of speed. I'll be interested that when we get to their game. I know we're talking about East Lincoln Statesville, but when we get to that Hickory game, I didn't see if their quarterback is going to be healthy this week. I know he got hurt at the end of the third quarter last week. I don't remember seeing him coming back in. They did Wildcat for the whole fourth quarter.
Right.
Very interesting. That they did it. Might want to keep him safe, but the game was still close. It was, I think they won 49-28, but that was a 7-point game. If you watched it, it was a 7-point game. It wasn't that type of game. So East Lincoln might have their hands full tonight with Statesville, and they have a must win almost because Hickory's playing North Lincoln tonight, and if Hickory gets past North Lincoln, that's one of them. And we'll get to it in a little bit, but that's one of them little games that we thought maybe Hickory could flow up and lose. So East Lincoln needs to win tonight.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're playing that game at Statesville, correct? Or is that at East Lincoln? The East Lincoln and
I'm thinking it's at
Statesville.
East because I'm looking at the way that he writes this down, and Cherville's on the right side. I know they got homecoming tonight, so I'm thinking that right side is at home. So I think East might be playing.
Well, playing at East, I think they're a different team when they play at home versus on the road. They always have been, and it's still when you go up there, it's just a different. It's a football field, it's a football stadium, but it's just something different about it. It's just, they obviously tend to play better at home, which a lot of teams do, but they'll be favored tonight to win at home, and they probably will win.
Yeah, I think they will hold serve at home tonight. I think they'll do very good tonight. I'm gonna say, I don't know if we're picking scores at this point, but I think they should win by. I'm gonna say 14 is a fair assessment of what they should win by tonight. So, what do you think about East Lincoln Statesville tonight, Dennis?
That's supposed to be a key matchup in that conference. I don't think it will turn out that way. I think, as you mentioned, you said Statesville is down a little bit this year, being polite. East Lincoln, at this point, they really haven't played a tough opponent. I defer to Shannon. He's our expert on matchups, but I think their opponents have been something like 1-11 or something that they've played so far. So while East Lincoln's record looks good, the question is, will East Lincoln look good when they start playing better competition? Statesville, on the other hand, has not looked as good, and their record's not as good, but it's a conference game. it's a rivalry, if you will, within that league over there. Without giving away my pick at this point, I'll just say it's going to be an interesting game, and when we make our picks, I'll elaborate a little bit more on why.
Okay.
Well, East Lincoln, they play Stuart Kramer, Forest View, and Lincolnton.
Yep.
And
So
Hickory.
The assessment is pretty spot on with that.
Yeah.
The Hickory game, that, like I said, they were in that game. That score was not indicative of what you saw on the field, but they were a little bit outmatched in some of their matchups. Hickory is just that much better. I'm gonna say it was about a 7-point game in that particular matchup, and they were away, so you get that push for being away too. So
Right, and both of them done, and the rest of the schedule after this week. Obviously, Hickory still has to play Statesville, but Hickory has St. Stephen's, North Iredale, West Iredale, and then Fred T. Ford, whereas East Lincoln, after this week, they have West Iredale, Ford, St. Stephen's, North Iredale, and then North Lincoln at the end of the season. So, a lot of things, these are your must-win games. Now you get beat, you got to come back, and now basically East Lincoln has to win out because you've got teams in the area. You got Hickory, you also have Crest. They're undefeated.
Yep.
And so if you're looking towards the playoffs, which you might as well go ahead and start looking that way, you've got Kings Mountain as well, teams that are undefeated and teams that, you don't want to have to go on the road in the playoffs. Hopefully you can get all your games at home. You want that number one seed, but with that one conference loss or with that one loss, now in your back pocket, that's going to have an effect. That has an adverse effect on you. And regardless of what happens, I said it before, East Lincoln is totally different on the road than they are at home.
Right.
Well, Shannon makes a point here. At this point, you can start to look ahead a little bit. And the reason for that is simple. If you're the second place team in a conference, you might not come out as well in the playoffs. You might have to go, you might get that first home game, but then you'd have to go on the road, and you'd have a situation where you're playing some teams that are maybe not as good as you are, and you're going to win maybe on up until the third round, but it's going to put you in a bad position as far as the travel and home games and other things, and the matchups will not be as good as if you were the first place team in that conference.
Right. And plus, when you are the top team in your conference, when you get to this part of your schedule where you are playing the lesser or the weaker teams, this is where you work on what doesn't work. And this is where you can, say, okay, who can we move in this position that can make us better? And I think that's what's going to happen to you're going to see that in a lot of teams doing that the next few weeks. They're going to be moving players around to say, okay, we got to get these kids ready, or our team just make us better for the playoffs, and especially to finish strong in the conference. So.
Right, and last week, as we all know, conference play pretty much got. We just got last couple weeks got kicked off in our conference play.
Yeah.
And that changes up a little bit of things. For our local area, that 1A, 2A conference can be a little bit tough, as we talked about. Some of the Shelbys having to play the Chervilles, vice versa. That could be tough for them. But with some of these 3A teams going in their conference, and their competition might ramp up a little bit. So.
Well, I don't want to say too much at this time, but people have been complaining about conference matchups, Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been on the phone with our local House member, Kelly Hastings, and I was asking him some questions in regard to, he represents me. I'm his constituent, but we go back a long ways politically. And I asked him the question about the bill that was passed recently. It was Senate Bill 452. It was ratified. It's on the governor's desk. It removes control of North Carolina high school athletics from the North Carolina High School Athletics Association and gives control to the State Board of Education and the Public School Superintendent of North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Could we see some changes? What prompted this? Shannon's been around a long time here with me, and we've had this discussion in the past, and Kevin and I have ranted and raved about this. It seemed that the association had accumulated some $41 million in their slush fund, if you will. And the question was, what do you do with it? I mean, we got high cost of high schools, transportation, all these things. They started to turn loose a little bit of money. They could give some scholarships. They could do things with it. Why are they sitting on this huge stockpile of money in North Carolina when that money could be used to benefit the boys and girls and the athletes who play in the sports and participate, and the schools that try to provide the services and the entertainment for the communities? We'll get into that at another time. I'm just telling you, the bill's passed.
Somebody else might be in charge.
Quay Tucker is not
In charge anymore.
the do-all, be-all of North Carolina high school athletics.
Well, it's like-
Although the athletic directors have supported the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, you would expect that.
Yeah, I got an email today about it, and it's kind of reminds me of what's happening in college football. You know, you got the NCAA, but if I'm correct here, I don't think they're in charge of anything except in March Madness. I don't think they even control football. They govern it. They reap the benefits of the money. I could be wrong on that, but you know, it's regardless. You know, I'm not privy enough to really or well versed in to speak what all happened with that. But yeah, I know a lot of people are happy, but on the reverse side of that coin, you have a lot of people upset about what's happened, and for various reasons.
It's more of the establishment of the older coaches and athletic directors. Let's just keep things like they were back the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Vicky Sawyer, a senator from, I believe, Iredell County, brought this bill up back sometime back in the Senate. And the reason she brought it up was because she was concerned about image and likeness. Well, you say, what is that? Let's say I'm the starter quarterback for Cherryville High School, and I'm having a great year. How can I make money on this? I know those college boys are getting money.
Yeah.
What's to stop me as a high school player from getting money? And it's basically, her bill was saying that nobody owns my name or my image except me. You, as a high school association, can't make money off of my name and picture, but I can.
Right.
And so that was what sort of kicked this hornet's nest off, was a mama, if you will, looking after her kids and wanting to know, how come we don't benefit from this? How come the school or the association or whatever benefits rather than the individuals actually doing the work?
And it could be a good thing too, because you know, as far as that goes. But I'm talking about as far as what goes on the play. I know Tom has mentioned before that he would like to see an all football conference.
Yeah.
Or that you'd have all football conferences versus what the other sports play within the conference. So I think something like this could kickstart a program or kickstart something in motion to say, okay, you're not going to have the Burns, the Shelby play Highland Tech anymore, because that's really unfair. You're not going to have to play like a 1A schools like Cherryville or Thomas Jefferson. And I'm not saying anything bad about them, but that is just, if you were at that game last week, Shelby and Cherryville, I mean, it was really just, it was bad. And no offense to anything Cherryville did, Shelby was just that much better. And it's still the kids out there playing. You feel bad for the kids playing because they're trying their best.
You want it to be competitive, and you want both teams to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think, you know, did Shelby get any better? Sure, they probably worked on some things that didn't work. Did Cherryville get better? You hope they did. You know, because they won't probably face a team stronger like that in the 1A, and especially when you go into the playoffs. But then again,
you don't want to get your kids hurt.
You don't want to get them hurt, but you got to look at the schools too. Nobody's making money off that. Nobody, because there was hardly any. And I sent a message to a friend of mine, because I was videoing the game on the Cherryville side of the stands, because I mean there was nobody there. On the Shelby side, it looked like the COVID year. People were separated. It was just sporadic in there. Versus when you go tonight to, even though Crest is playing Kramer tonight, Crest will be full. You know, and it's not because it's homecoming. You know, there'll be a lot of people there.
Oh, yeah.
When it's homecoming Shelby, they'll be full. Same with Burns. Same down at South Point. You know, at East Lincoln, at these schools. But you want them to be, you know, we always talk about those big matchups early in the season. Well, I understand, you know, you want them to play, you want your team to have wins. I get that. Some schools just want to play just to get the wins. But then again, you want to get money for your program, because your football program funds everything else.
Well, that's one of the things that was mentioned, I understand, by the people in the legislature who were talking about this. A lot of schools were having bake sales to raise money. Now, Burns and Shelby and Crest have had some half and half things,
Right.
and I think Crest is up to maybe $160,000-$170,000 right now, headed towards $200,000. They'll get half of that money. Well, that's basically their athletic budget for the year.
Right.
And so from that standpoint, they're saying you got $41 million, and we're raising money baking brownies.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What's fair about this? The conferences, look at the colleges now. The ACC, they had to go out to California to get some teams. All right. So you got a women's soccer, women's tennis, lacrosse. You're going to go all the way out to California for those? They're talking about meeting in the middle at Dallas and having some of those matches. So a football-only conference is begin to be seriously considered. And I think you'll see that trickle down to high schools where we start matching teams of more equal caliber against one another, regardless.
Right.
That's right, guys. Well, JP, I think we're up for a commercial right quick. So, our guys, before we get to commercial, I want to bring this up tonight. We on our station, we've got the Witherspoon Insurance as you're listening to right now. We're also going to have Stuart Kramer at Crest on WOHS 101.5, 1390 AM. We've got East Gaston at Cherryville, WCSL at 92.9, 1590. Bavard at RS Central on Waggy, 107.5, 1320 AM. And we got Statesville at East Lincoln tonight on LincolnCounty.com. We also have Chase at East Rutherford. We got Tom Sinafani up there on the YouTube.com. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to bring some local matchups back when we get back on in just a second.
with quality built and energy efficient Larson doors. Now's the time to buy. Get a great deal from Larson and the Roundup Store, 1610 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby. Online at roundupshelby.com.
And we're back on the Witherspoon Insurance of Shelby pregame show with Dennis, Shannon, and Zach.
Yeah, he about said Kevin on there. He's used to
Well, I'm
pulling
saying
that
he's
intro,
Kevin
so I
me, you know what I
understand. Yeah, welcome back to the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show today with Zach, Dennis, and Shannon. We're talking about some local matchups this week. Coming up on our list next would be the Crest Chargers. Stuart Kramer is actually traveling to the Crest Chargers. It's Crest homecoming this week, right, Dennis?
That is the correct title for that. It's homecoming. And
It might be a storm.
well, it's the Kramer Storm.
It'll be an old-fashioned butt kick is what it's going to be.
I'm trying to be nice here.
I am too, and being honest. That's just the truth.
They got nice-looking purple uniforms down there.
That Crest Chargers potent offense. So what did they put up, 68 last week? Something in that range? 60,
Yeah,
60
it was
something?
68
To 20?
Yeah, 20.
Something in that range.
20.
So
They got to work on defense a little bit more.
I've been privy to see those guys this year with East Lincoln and Hickory, and they could spread it out really well. It's funny that when they actually spread it out, Dennis and Shannon, that a lot of times Mr. Green ain't the focus of the offense.
It's not a one-man team, and I messed up last week. I picked Crest to win by 50, and they only won by 48, Shannon.
Missed it.
I'm disappointed.
You overshot the goal. Well, you're right. Crest is just their offense is probably as good as anybody, as far as potent wise in the state of North Carolina, and I'll definitely stand by that. You talked about Javari Green. He's not their main. He's their main weapon, but they don't really have to use him because you have speedsters, Malachi Addison, and then A.J. Adams. But you also have a good running back in Aiden Carson that people forget about. Yeah. And Aiden's just a junior. The other three are the other guys. Those weapons are seniors. But what helps a good passing game? You got to have a good running game. If you've got a good running game, you can throw the ball over the field, but you've got to establish that running game first. And Crest, Crest is kind of opposite. They'll go with the pass first, but they've also got that in their back pocket if they need to go back to it, they will, and they can.
Shannon, I don't subscribe to the Charlotte Observer. They're a little too liberal for me.
Right.
But I understand they had a story today about Husky, the quarterback.
Yeah.
And the question was asked, is there any quarterback in North Carolina having a better year based on his record to this point? Right. I haven't read the article, so I can't quote from it or say anything about it, but you folks out there that subscribe to the Observer, you can look that up and read it for yourself. But it's, as you said, you can't have a passing game without a running game. Well, you can't have a passing game without a quarterback. Oh, and in this case, the reason he can get free to pass is because he can run.
Yeah.
So he's a multi-talented quarterback, and I understand a heck of a nice kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you were up there doing the game also with the Burns. You was at the Burns Crest game. Did you get to go to that game, Shannon?
Yes.
Yeah, I was filming sideline report. I think he was tweeting out some scores and stuff like that. But they spread the ball out very well. A quarterback, when he gets in trouble, he's smaller. He's not a small kid, but he's smaller. So he's almost like a Russell Wilson type, where he's really hard to get your hands on. He can spin out of some tackles, especially arm tackles, and then he throws to spots. I was watching him on the sidelines. He throws
Sounds
to
like
spots.
the Panthers quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's bigger. Yeah, he's not Pop Warner. He's actually high school, but he's bigger. But he spins out real well. He throws it to a spot where his wide receiver should be. A lot of times they're in the right position. As Shannon said a minute ago, they're not just a one-person team. They can use him as a decoy, get to these other receivers, and they have a lot of speed. So they shouldn't have any trouble with Stuart Kramer tonight at homecoming. So whoever gets homecoming queen. All right, we're back on. Sorry for that, guys, but whoever gets homecoming queen tonight, congratulations to them. Another homecoming game you got tonight is
let me say
go ahead,
brother.
go
You talking about the quarterbacks? Obviously, state of North Carolina, there's two better quarterbacks than him because I don't think he made the Shrine Bowl, which I think is ridiculous.
My understanding is, and this is not my thoughts, not my doing. I didn't come up with it, but I understand that the previous Crest coach, Eddings, was on the Shrine Bowl staff.
Right.
And somebody speculated that's the reason that Husky wasn't chosen.
No, he picked. Now, so Edens told me that he did pick Natavius to go. I think they got to go to a combine or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what he told me. But then I think the final say-so came from the Monroe coach because he's the head coach this year. They got Monroe. And I think he went with the bigger quarterback.
He might not have seen this boy yet.
And he's not a fan.
He needs to see him.
He's not a fan of Crest. I'll put it that way.
I don't think he's a fan of Cleveland County either. He's not a fan of Burns at all. But yeah, I think Natavius, regardless, Shrine Bowl really doesn't mean anything. You know, it's still. I mean, it means something, but it doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
it's not going to make or break you. I think for Crest to be successful this year, the ball's going to it's going to start with Natavius, and if he is healthy, he's as good as anybody in the state of North Carolina at quarterback, regardless of how tall he is or anything else.
Yeah,
More than the Shrine Bowl, I think it's the college scholarship offers.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, some school out there is going to pick this kid up who is not, because of his height, on a lot of top quarterback
radars.
picks. Yeah. He's not the big 6'4", 250 quarterback, but he is very mobile and very accurate with his passing. And somebody's going to get themselves a gem of a quarterback and a fine young man who will go on to be great in life in general, not just football.
He can be a slot back in college right now and do very well because he as you mentioned, being a quarterback, he knows the field. You know, he knows, like you mentioned, or one of y'all mentioned a while ago, he throws the ball up exactly where the receiver.
He does. He throws the spot.
So he knows, as regardless of where he plays in college, he's going to be successful. He's going to make that team better, and that's the type of athlete you're looking for when you're recruiting high school players. You want somebody that's going to come in to make your program better, and he's at the top of the list.
Good job, guys. We got right down the street here. We got East Gaston going to the chair of Ironmen. It is the homecoming for the Ironmen tonight, so good luck tonight for the Ironmen. They're playing East Gaston. East Gaston is having a good season. I believe they're undefeated. If I'm correct in my assessment, I think they're undefeated on the year this year. So Cherville's going to have their hands full tonight at homecoming. Also tonight, Philip Russ is hosting the Chase Trojans. This ought to be an interesting matchup. What do you guys think about the Chase Trojans traveling to East Rutherford Cavaliers?
Well, I think, with Russ, he's got a lot of he's built a lot of the momentum back.
Yeah, I thought the exact word I was thinking was momentum.
Yeah, he's getting it back, and those kids, they've won they could win one game this year so far. But
first game out of the gate, maybe second game,
first or second, early in the season. But I think when you play a rivalry game, because in Rutherford County, that when those three schools, talking about Chase, East Rutherford, and RS, when they play each other, basically you can throw whatever records there out the window. Yeah. Normally in the past, those records have been pretty bad, but now with Chase success they've had, you're as a East Rutherford or the East Rutherford team, you see that you're like, okay, we can beat them.
Yep.
We can use, because East Rutherford, they've got speed. They've got some size. They've got some young players, but they're good players. I think Phil's got a good foundation to build on. But then with Chase going to East tonight, I don't think they're going to beat them this year.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a close game. It'll be a fun game to watch. It'll be exciting. It won't be the same East Rutherford team Chase played last year.
Yeah, right. And see, Philip could look at what Chase did. They started to get better. You remember Chase has been good for a couple years now, Dennis, and then maybe he can kind of mimic some of that.
And there's a reason why they were so good. Guess this is homecoming tonight for Chase, because some of the players are going home to East Rutherford, where
they were kind of coming back because the football team wasn't in existence.
Football team disbanded for basically a year, and some of the guys saw fit to continue playing by moving over there to Chase, which benefited Chase and really kicked off their program and made them strong for a couple of years. And I'm sure they know the guys at East Rutherford. They were underclassmen, if you will, when they were there or would have been there. And so it's there's some things in high school football sometimes, like Shelby Crest, Shannon. Mm-hmm. That's my cousin over there.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I go to church with him.
Yeah. My mama went to Chase, my mom went to Shelby, my daddy went to Crest, or something
there
like
you
that,
go. And that's what you get in high school football. And I think this game will exemplify that when those Chase Trojans come back home to East Rutherford tonight. Phillip may have a little something for them.
Yeah.
And Chase may have a little something for them.
Yeah, I think it'll be good for high school football in that area to get that going back up. Phillip getting the position he got is a great pick for those guys, and I think that football team's going to have it's an upstart. It's going to get turned around, and they might be getting back to what they were years ago.
And Phillip's got a new little baby at home, so now he can focus on the game a little bit.
Right. So, well, I'm finished up with this matchup here, and then JP will go to a commercial right after this. But it's the Shelby Golden Lions are going to be going to the Thomas Jefferson Griffins tonight. So Shelby's in that conference opening kind of thing, so they're going to be playing again. Maybe not the competition that they probably should be. Not to say that some of these smaller teams are not trying to down them, but we're talking about matchups, and matchups can be very, very hard when you get in that 1A, 2A conference. And they're going to be going down to Thomas Jefferson. So Thomas Jefferson's going to try to get better tonight. They're probably going to have a tough road to hoe tonight.
Oh, it'll be it's going to be tough. But the thing is, I was going to mention this too. Like last week, I did the Shelby Cherryville game, for Twitter and all that, and just watching. I'm just going back to last year. Last year, everybody said, "Well, Shelby's down," and you could see it on the field. You could see, okay, this isn't the team they used to be, obviously for many reasons. But this year's a little different. I know they lost their first 3 games at the three very good football teams, but something about them now, you can tell they've moved some players around. One of the big players, or one of the big names I think that's moved is Drew Hollifield. They put him in the slot, and I'm gonna tell you, I think as good as we're talking about Natavius, a quarterback for Crest, or as good as he is for Crest, I think that's Drew. I think that's Hollifield's spot for Shelby in the slot because he is so quick, and in the slot you're gonna have a linebacker cover you. There's somebody that's not fast or the safety. Of course, he's gonna watch the corners and everything, or watch the outside receivers. But with Hollifield there in the slot, I think that makes Shelby that much better. I'm not saying that's where he played against. He may have been out there with Crest. I don't know, or when they played early in the season. But now it's still just watching them play, watching their defense play. They've moved Jay McNeely to the inside instead of he was on the defensive end last year. With him and Jaden Pierce in the middle, those are 2 big guys coming straight up the middle, and pretty much were unstoppable last week. I think that right there, just those simple moves, moving 2 players, is going to help Shelby. I'm not saying they're going to win a state championship. I'm not saying anything like that, but I can just tell they're better at this time than they were last year.
Right, and what I'd heard, Dennis, was at the beginning of the year they had some tough matchups, which we know that, but they had made a lot of mistakes in those games, and I think they might be a little bit more resilient. A lot of times, you can have talent, but is the talent resilient?
Well, I'm going to tell JP to mark this tape because I'm going to say some good things
Yeah, right.
about Shelby.
Right.
Shannon
There you go.
and Steve Degree, you listening, I hope. Shelby gets better as the year goes on, and that's because of their coaching, and that's going to take place, and you're seeing it. Not only that, but your quarterback is gaining more experience with each game.
And confidence.
And confidence.
Yeah.
And he's going to be your quarterback, let's face it, for the next couple of years. He's going to be good. I agree with your comment in Hollifield moving into a different position, if you will. That's given them a boost. It gives them an option so that they can get out of some situations that they found themselves sort of bogged down in those first games. The defense has come around a little bit, and the backfield was always pretty good and quick. The biggest problem, I think, with Shelby early on was inexperience. And we're halfway through the season now. Yeah. And those sophomores are not really sophomores in terms of experience right now. And those juniors who hadn't played, even those seniors who had played, everybody's got another notch in their belt right now, and they're getting ready for the playoffs. And that's what the coach is preaching to them.
Well, they had, when just talking about Shelby Crest game, I know Javari Green had a big game that game, but the thing is, on a couple of those, I know on at least one touchdown pass, the defender was right here. I mean, he was right there on his hip, but it was a perfect pass by Natavius to get it to him. So it's things like that. People don't realize, like, well, they gave up this touchdown. Well, he was in perfect position. It was just a great pass. It was just a great football play. I think a lot of people, Dennis, you're right, they'll get better. I think a lot of teams that are on that upper level, like you mentioned Shelby Crest, East Lincoln, Hickory, Kings Mountain, Burns, South Point, even Chase. We talked about Chase a while ago. As the season goes on, you're going to watch them. Yeah, they're going to beat these teams in the conference that have less talent, but they're going to start gaining momentum. They're going to start gaining confidence, and they're going to get better. And by the time playoffs come, you want them at full stride. Now, will all of them get there? Probably not. Somebody will have a hiccup. Hopefully nobody gets hurt, but something like that will happen.
Yeah.
But again, these are this part of your schedule. This is where you start building that confidence, that momentum.
And injuries can make a huge difference.
Yeah, a big difference.
And everybody at this point, Burns and Shelby, that's going to be the big test for both teams.
That's what I was bringing up, Dennis.
Crest and Kings Mountain. It's going to the Kings Mountain offense will get better as the year goes on for the same reason.
South Point too. Crest and South Point.
That's another little road bump in the middle there. But what I'm talking about is this final game of the year that everybody's pointing to.
Yep.
Kings Mountain's offense will be better by that time. Their defense is solid. Crest offense already pretty good, but their defense will be better too.
Yep.
So now you've got a better offense against a better defense. And the same could probably be said about Shelby and Burns and those.
Yeah, I was going to say that Burns is off tonight. They got their bye week, but looking ahead, they're going to be Shelby and Burns after they get this conference games over with. They're going to wind up matching up against each other. It'll be both of them are going to get in the playoffs. You know that's going to happen. So they're going to have a good sharpening game before they go into.
I think that Burns Shelby game is going to be really good.
I think it is
that
too.
Will be a really good ball game.
I do too. That's what Dennis just mentioned it, and I was thinking about it. Looking ahead, that's going to be, and it's going to be loaded stands and all eyes on it. Get them ready for the playoffs, and good luck to both of them when they do get into it. So
those people that aren't at Kings Mountain or Crest are going to be at Burns and Shelby.
Well, speaking of last games of the season, why in the world did East Lincoln go play Hickory last week? Why was that game scheduled first in that conference?
I don't know.
It's always been that way because I guess
I would have to look up because I'm honestly
game.
I kind of follow the Cleveland County side of things. I'm not really familiar with that 3A Lincoln County Catawba area, so I did get to go up there and watch it. I did do some Lincoln County East Lincoln games last week, but first time I've ever been to the Hickory game, so not really familiar with that.
Speculation at the point that they were making the schedule, Hickory wasn't good
Possibly.
based on last year.
Very possible.
East Lincoln is defending state champion. How the times do change.
They do. So let's get another break in, JP, and then we'll come back and we'll continue on with our pregame assessments.
Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price. With names like The Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General, and Travelers. Drop by the office today at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986.
Leaves have already started to fall. Are you ready for leaf season this year? Get ready with a stop in at Hojo Power Sports in Shelby and take a look at a leaf sucking machine. That's the Walker Mower, famous for leaf pickup for residential or commercial lawns. With a Walker, your yard will look clean and fresh. Plus, you'll find blowers by Husqvarna, Red Max, Shadawa, and DeWalt. Make leaf season easy this year with the new Walker Mower from Hojo Power Sports. 110 Grigg Street off South Lafayette Street in Shelby. Online at hojopower.net.
It's Texas.
Start your engine!
The Auto Trader Echo Park Automotive 400.
Green flag is in the air, and we're racing at Texas Motor Speedway.
Kyle Busch hits the wall hard in turn 4. The field, everybody getting on the binders. Oh, we got a car in the wall.
Chase Elliott, he's gone up and hit the wall. Flames coming off of the right side.
The Auto Trader Echo Park Automotive 400 from Texas. Sunday, September 24th at 2:30.
On Carolina Country WCSL, 92.9 FM, 1590 AM, and online at kdcbroadcasting.com.
Kurt's Premium Outlet presents a store-wide furniture sale. Come in now and save. A 7-piece patio set is sale priced at $5.99. Get a sofa and a love seat, both for $6.99. Cadet Love seats are $4.75. Kurt's Premium Outlet has 2-piece sectionals for $14.25. A table and 4 chairs are now $9.48, and all electronics are now 25% off at Kurt's Premium Outlet on North New Hope Road in East Ridge Mall. See their page at whatsupshopper.com and like them on Facebook too.
Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota L-Series is part of our under 100 horsepower tractor lineup rated #1 for reliability. They feature powerful Kubota diesel engines and easy operation. The durable Kubota L-Series. Talk to your local Kubota dealer today to schedule a demo. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Your Kubota dealer is Parker Farm Service, located at 126 Bessie Drive on Oak Grove Road at the Highway 74 bypass in Kings Mountain. Pegram Insurance Services in Shelby is now All Care Insurance Services, and they invite you to see their newly remodeled office and talk with them about your insurance needs. If that's too far away from you, they have an All Care Insurance location in both Gastonia and Belmont areas. All Care Insurance has strived to be the best by providing quality insurance coverage with great commitment to customer service. Whether you do coverage for your home, auto, business, life, or something more, their experienced agents are there to help you. Visit one of their convenient locations, 220 West Dixon Boulevard in Shelby, 4515 Wilkinson Boulevard in Gastonia, and 7005 Suite E Wilkinson Boulevard in Belmont. That's All Care Insurance Services. Local, scratch-made, and delicious food right there in Boston. It's Johnny Ray Smokehouse. The menu is loaded with delicious slow-smoked barbecue, brisket, burgers, salads, plus Friday night is rib night. And be sure you start off your meal with their famous fried cheese curds. They're out of this world. Stop by today. Johnny Ray Smokehouse, 4629 Boston Road, Highway 18. Open 11 to 8 Wednesday and Thursday, 11 to 9 Friday and Saturday, 11 to 9 on Sunday. Like them on Facebook too.
And we're back on the Witherspoon Insurance of Shelby pregame show with Shannon, Zach, and Dennis.
All right, good job there, JP. So Zach, Dennis, and Shannon tonight. Kevin's out, like we talked about a minute ago, on the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show. Going through some of the local matchups tonight, some of the big hitters tonight. The next one up on the dock, I do want to just give an honorable mention to one. Bessemer City's got a winning record this year. They're actually going to be playing Highland Tech tonight, so could possibly get another win. It could be 4-2 on the season. So congratulations to the Bessemer City Yellow Jackets. Good luck to Highland Tech. Maybe they can get their first win against Bessemer City Yellow Jackets. I do want to bring up the next big game on the list would be the Maiden Blue Devils traveling to the West Lincoln Rebels.
Well, Dennis, before I start, a friend of mine, Dennis Morgan, said he enjoyed your input on the games. He just sent me a text. So
oh, okay.
He's telling me to tell it. Anyway, so so Maiden going to West Lincoln. I think traditionally everybody says that Maiden's going to be the quicker team. West Lincoln will be a big team, just pounded up the middle, and that Maiden will probably win because of their speed. However, Dennis, I think tonight, I think West Lincoln playing at home. I think West Lincoln has the momentum. Obviously, we talked about that last year. You mentioned that Maiden won last year at Maiden.
I think it went down to the wire, if I'm remembering.
It was a close game. It was a close game. I think that a lot of these, they remember that. And, West Lincoln has two good running backs. I just can't think of their names right now.
They've been running the two-headed monster for a couple of years. Now, last year we know they had Mason Avery, and he was just ridiculous.
The guy that was counter hit Bennett, or I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, Bennix, maybe something like it. Anyway, they've got him back now this year. I think West Lincoln's going to pound the ball against Maiden. I think they're a better football team, and I think they're going to win. I think it's going to be somewhere like 28 to maybe 20. I think they're going to, it'll be maybe a close game, but I think West Lincoln pulls it out at home. I really do.
Okay, so we're not giving scores at this
28 to 20.
All right.
28 to 20.
He's give out his, and we'll go back through them in a little bit, but and I kind of did with my Statesville East Lincoln. We'll go through. That's fine.
Well,
I think you're pretty close on that. I think it's going to go either way in an 8-point swing.
I'll give you a little background. Years ago when I was teaching, you had to mentor some young teachers.
Right.
And I had a young guy by the name of Matt Stover that I had to mentor. He was a football coach, came down here from Pennsylvania when we were trying to hire some people, didn't want to work for low wages in North Carolina. And he met this nice little cute girl down in the special ed department, and they ended up getting married. And then Matt ended up going over to West Lincoln So I know this is a little bit of a problem because he knows the people over there and loves West Lincoln. And he's superintendent, I think, over there in the area where Maiden's at.
Oh, okay.
And his son is the quarterback. And so I'm got to go with my gut feelings here. Maiden to pull the upset over West Lincoln tonight. And Terry Reinhardt, that's what you get for texting to me that Cleveland County didn't want no part of West Lincoln.
I'm sure Terry's listening in tonight. He was shooting out some scores for us last week. We appreciate that, Terry, to keep us updated on some of our scores. But I think it'll be a really good matchup. I think it's going to definitely benefit West Lincoln to be at home in the friendly confines, and they got the big cannon out there. So I think they'll probably fire that cannon a couple times tonight. And
that's another team we talk about. Like we talked about Chase a while ago.
Yeah.
West Lincoln's another team. Yeah, they've had some good years off and on, but here recently they've put a string of good years together.
Yep.
And with the younger kids coming up from their middle school program, well, even elementary, the middle school, and then the high school, those kids know that, they see that, and they want to be a part of that.
Yep.
And they buy into it. So, West Lincoln's really, I think I'm not saying they've turned the corner, but they're right there at it.
They are. They've been good for at least, consistently for about 5 years.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, they've had some outstanding years, and in honor of Terry Reinhardt, they could have played with Burns or Shelby or some of the schools, and they did play Shelby, I think, in the playoffs. It didn't turn out the way they wanted, but they were very respectable.
But they were there.
They were there, and it's very respectable showing against Cleveland County, Terry. And
then they beat it was it the COVID year, and I know a lot of things happened that year. Didn't they beat South Point?
They did. They're undefeated at home in the playoffs, as Terry reminds us very frequently. Undefeated at home in the playoffs.
There you go. That's
so on the up and up.
Even a blind squirrel finds an acorn every now and then, Terry.
So we'll get to the scores a little bit on those later. We got another good game coming up. We kind of can say Lincoln County, but it's a close rivalry. It's going to be the Lincoln Wolves possibly getting their first win tonight against the Newton Conover Red Devils.
Yeah, Lincoln. They're another team. They've got two players. One's Boss. His last name's Boss. I think he's their quarterback. This is his third year there. Then he's got a receiver, and obviously I can't remember his name either. But it's also his third year. So these guys have been through those ups and downs. They've been through those years where they've lost at the beginning, and then they finally picked it up at the end. But it was just too late, maybe to get in the playoffs, or they did make the playoffs one of those years. But I think. Lincoln is one of those teams. Traditionally, they're gonna have more athletes than you. They're gonna be better coached than you, and they're gonna and they just play better. When the time comes. But here in recent past, they've struggled and they've kind of hiccuped along the way. But I think tonight they're going to. Are they playing at home?
No, they're on the road
at Newton. They're playing at Newton. I think that's one of those games that they go down there and they use their talent, they use their ability, they use their speed to counter Newton Conover, and I think they can go down there and win. And again, it helps when you have leadership, senior leadership, and when you have a senior quarterback. I don't care where you are. I know Cherville had the guy at quarterback last year. He was a senior, maybe it was 2 years ago, and that helped them. That helped Cherville as well. But I think Lincoln, you've got the Boss kid back there. I think he's going to be a significant factor in this game, and I think they can go to Newton and win easily.
Well, I've followed Lincoln, and they have made some progress and improvements. Sometimes they've won, sometimes they've lost in recent games, but they've shown themselves well. They've come close.
Been competitive.
Yeah, they've been very competitive.
They got behind in that North Lincoln game and shouldn't have got that far behind.
Yeah, but they came back.
They did. It was 21-20 at the end, and like I said, they've been in all of them.
And Newton Conover, Don Patrick's not coaching Newton Conover anymore, boys. You can go back a few years to see how Newton Conover used to play very good ball. But if they lose this game, you can stick a fork in them because they're done for the year. So I'm taking the Lincoln Wolves to upset Newton Conover at Newton Conover tonight.
Yeah, I'm on that wagon with you. I think that Lincoln has played. They hadn't played bad. I've got a friend that coaches on that team, Jonathan Ingram, and he said, "Hey, we've been ready every week." And he said, "You start out at the gate, and it seems like we come out flat sometimes, and then they get behind, and they get just close enough, they can't get over the hump." Tonight, I think they shake that off. They've only down a little bit in the conference. They can get on track, and they can actually make their footprint in the conference and try to win that conference.
They have the Carolina Panthers syndrome. They start off flat, they get behind, then towards the end of the game, they make a run to come back. It's like, why didn't you play that way at the beginning? You'd have won this game.
Right. That run is not enough.
It's not just
barely.
barely.
You got to get over the hump.
Like 2 or 3 points, you lose. And it's like, why didn't you just start off the beginning of the game?
I think they start off the game tonight right, and I think that they get over the hump tonight. I was going to go to a commercial break, but I don't think we can yet. I don't think our JP is in our – okay, Calvin's going to come. We're going to go to a commercial break, and then we're going to come on our last leg and talk about a couple more matchups, and then we'll pick all of our games. So we're going to go to commercial, and then we'll be back on the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price, with names like The Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General, and Travelers. Drop by the office today at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986. You could be the winner of a $250 shopping spree at one of our local area merchants. Register today at West End Sales, Highway 18 North in Vale, at getabuilding.com, Highway 18 South in Shelby, at the 3500 Grill, Highway 18 North of Shelby, at Norris Merchandise, Highway 18 South of Shelby, at Alley's Cafe, Highway 180 North Shelby, at Hookie's Town on West Warren Street, Shelby, at Parker Family Feed on Carpenters Grove Road in Bellwood, at Cleveland Lumber Company on Arrowwood Street in Shelby, at Bradley's on Highway 74 West in Shelby, and at Shelby Meat and Grocery on South Lafayette Street in Shelby, and at Substation 2 on South Lafayette Street in Shelby. The drawing will be held Friday, October 27th. Register today. You could be a big winner.
If you're a victim of the storms in around Cherryville last week and have downed limbs and trees, then you need to call Fisher's Tree Service. Fisher's Tree Service has been in business for over 10 years and has been voted the best tree service company in Cleveland County for the past 4 years. They pride themselves with professional work performed by tree service professionals. Their services include removal of downed trees, tree pruning, stump grinding, crane services, and more. Call Fisher's Tree Service now for an appointment. 704-692-4202 and like them on Facebook too. Today, having choices at the end of life's journey is more important than ever. Choosing the proper way to honor a loved one is not an easy task. There are many emotional, personal, and spiritual issues to consider. Now, there is a new alternative to traditional burial and flame-based cremation. Foothills Aquamation is a water-based natural process that gently returns your loved one's remains to their natural ash form. Learn more at StammyTysingerFuneralHome.com or drop by their offices in Falston and in Cherryville.
This is the month to save on a new carport or enclosed garage at getabuilding.com. Now, for a limited time, take $100 off any carport in stock. But that's not all. Take $200 off any enclosed garage. Come check them out today and save money. GetaBuilding.com has metal carports, garages, storage buildings, sheds, and more, and all come with free delivery. GetaBuilding.com, 1705 South Lafayette Street, Highway 18 South in Shelby, online at GetaBuilding.com.
For nearly 50 years, the K family at Numbers Bookkeeping and Income Tax Service have been taking care of your bookkeeping and income tax needs in Shelby, Cleveland County, and the surrounding area. They feature a staff of enrolled agents and registered tax return preparers to make sure you get every advantage you deserve. That's Numbers Bookkeeping and Income Tax Service, 707 South Lafayette Street in Shelby. Give them a call at 704-484-2783. Online at numbersofshelby.com. They are there for you. Plan now to attend this year's Cleveland County Fair, September 28th through October 8th. 11 big days of fun for the entire family. Entertainment includes Act Monsters Chainsaw Art, The Circus Incredible with high-flying aerial artists, The Electrifying Magic, starring Jay Matoli from America's Got Talent and Showtime at the Apollo, and Hog Diggity Dog, the very best animal act ever, and Nashville recording artist John Morris, along with 40 ride-offer rides, games, food stands, and more. The Cleveland County Fair, September 28th through October 8th, online at clevelandcountyfair.com. Smiles are the specialty at Family Dentistry in Shelby. Dr. Stroud, Wilson, Thompson, and McMurray invite you in for all of your dental needs, from preventive care to cosmetic dentistry. from crowns and bridges to root canals and implants. For your appointment, call 704-482-3281 or visit the website at shelbydentist.net. Yes, smiles are the specialty at Family Dentistry in Shelby, located at 416 West Warren Street. Kids love them. Hey, and you will too. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for a touchdown of comfort? It's game day, and the team to trust for all your heating, ventilation, and air conditioning needs is Settle Heating and Air. For over 25 years, Settle Heating and Air has been the MVP of HVAC services, providing quality solutions to homes and businesses since 1998. So whether you're cheering on your team at the game or relaxing at home, trust Settle Heating and Air to keep you comfortable year-round. Settle Heating and Air, your comfort champions. Head over to settlehvac.com and call today to experience the winning difference.
Welcome back to the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show with Zach, Dennis, and Shannon. We're going over some local scores tonight. We got a couple to touch on before we pick some of these local games and see where we stand on these games. So just an honorable mention to one of the ones that's local. North Gaston's traveling to Kings Mountain tonight. North Gaston's probably going to have a tough road to hoe when they go up to the mountain. And then South Point Red Raiders are going to be playing the Hunter Huss Huskies. Hunter Huss is hosting that game tonight. Another local matchup that'll be on the docket will be Ashbrook Green Wave playing the Forest View Jaguars. That should be a pretty competitive matchup tonight. One of those guys come out with a win. But the one I want to talk about now is the Hickory Red Tornadoes versus the North Lincoln Knights.
Yeah, Hickory coming off a big win last week, this could be like a trap game because, they're still flying high after beating the defending state champion, the 3A state champion. And, they may think, and of course I'm definitely putting words in their mouth, and they may think, well, we're going to be we're the top dog now. We're the big dog now on the porch. But, again, you still have to win out. And, winning games like that, I'm sure the coaches had a fun week, obviously, but you have to keep those young men grounded. And you have to make sure they can finish strong. One game like that does not make your season. If it does, then you probably need to just start playing basketball. But the thing is, Hickory is good enough to go down to North Lincoln. I don't think North Lincoln's going to, Dennis, I don't think they're going to be good enough to even stop Hickory's speed. Zach, you mentioned they had a big running back. A big kid running the ball. I think somebody like that, when you go up against, that's going to be playing on turf just like they have turf at Hickory, I think things like that just falls right into Hickory's hands, and I'm like, I don't think it's going to be a ball game.
Body style wise, Dennis, right before you get started here, body style wise, he's kind of like I lost the man's name. Plays for Tennessee Titans, big guy.
Henry.
Thank you, Henry. Derrick Henry. Yeah. Very tall kid, big kid, very noticeable, and can move the pile. So, Dennis.
Well, Shannon answered a question that I was going to put forth, and that is, what kind of field does Hickory play on? Because going to North Lincoln in their turf field could have, played a little bit in North Lincoln's favor, but since those are canceled out, I have to go with the Red Tornadoes because, as I said, they've been my surprise team of the year so far.
I agree.
They have, how can I put this? Teddy Roosevelt, speak softly and carry a big stick. Hickory has spoken softly. You haven't heard a lot about them. They haven't done a lot of chest beating and yelling and screaming and all that kind of stuff. But they've carried a big stick in that they did the defending state champion last week, East Lincoln. And so I look for them to continue on their course. If they can stay grounded, they'll be a tough out for somebody down the road. I'm thinking about Crest or Kings Mountain or somebody. They're going to give them a tussle down in the playoffs, but we're not to the playoffs yet.
Right.
But Hickory's going to keep coming. They'll beat North Lincoln tonight at North.
But in order for them to get to they'll get to the playoffs, but to get to the position they want to be in, this is the type of game you got to win.
Yeah, they can't drop the ball here, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, you don't want to, like you said, Shannon, you don't want to come out and this be a stumble game. I was privileged last year to start early and do some of the East Lincoln games. I did the first 3 East Lincoln games. Got to see how talented that East Lincoln team was. Then I was privileged to go to do the homecoming game at Kings Mountain. Got my eyes on that team. and I got to talk with you guys on the post-game show on the way back, and I think Kevin asked a question last year. He said, this was about the 7th game in. He says, if these two match up, who's got the better team? I said, I've seen East Lincoln. East Lincoln's got the better team, and that panned out when they actually played in Kings Mountain. This year, I was privileged enough to have saw Crest play, and I've also been privileged enough to see Hickory play. That matchup right there would be very good. I think if it gets to that point later in the year, it'd be very interesting to see how that actually match up. Very good talent on both sides, very good talent on both sides of the ball. And if we get to that point with those teams, that would be one to put your check mark if they make it in the playoffs to face each other.
It's funny you should bring that up. Fans are already moving to the playoffs, Shannon. And they're talking about, okay, what happens if Crest plays Hickory? And somebody who's seen Crest play several times and seen Hickory play a couple of times, basically their decision, this is not me, their opinion was that Crest would handle Hickory both offensively and defensively.
Chip Carter just sent me a text. He said, Hickory better watch out for North Lincoln. They are a disciplined team that can give them a scare.
And that's kind of was the thinking last week when I was coming home listening to the post-game show was there was two teams that could show up on Hickory's radar that could possibly be a trip game, and that's them, and that's North Lincoln. It's actually Statesville. That's going to be yet to be seen. Both of them teams aren't as good as they have been in the past, but when it's rivalries, when it's conference games, that makes big differences, and sometimes scores don't reflect talent sometimes. So have to keep up an eye out for that. So, JP, let's go to a quick commercial break if we can, and when we come back, we're going to finish up the show with picking some scores to end the show out.
Since 1986, Witherspoon Insurance Agency in Shelby has been serving families across Shelby and Cleveland County. And today, Wayne Witherspoon continues the tradition of bringing you the best insurance at the best possible price. With names like the Hartford, Safeco, Progressive, National General, and Travelers. Drop by the office today at 125 North Lafayette Street in Shelby and talk with one of their friendly hometown agents. Witherspoon Insurance Agency, your independent insurance agency since 1986. You pull, you save money at Auto Parts U Pull and Scrap Metal in Shelby and Lincoln. And yes, they buy cars and trucks, any year, any size, any condition. They'll even come and tow your vehicle in. They might even buy your house. They also buy copper, aluminum, steel, cast iron, tin, and brass. See the king of parts. That's Auto Parts U Pull and Scrap Metal. Open 8 till 5, Monday through Friday at 1025 County Home Road in Shelby and 851 Car Farm Road in Lincoln. Online at autopartsupull.com and see their page at whatsupshopper.com. And like them on Facebook, too.
This special flooring offer is being made only to you from Bear's Floor Covering in Kings Mountain. That's right, only to you. You and you only. For a limited time, get award-winning design LVP flooring, 5mm, 20mm wear layer for only $1.99 a square foot. Only $1.99 a square foot, just for you. Tell them you heard it on the radio, and this special offer is only for you. Again, award-winning design LVP flooring for $1.99 a square foot. Only to you and you only from Barrett's Floor Covering, Dixon School Road, Kings Mountain. At All Care Insurance Services in Shelby, Gastonia, and Belmont, they can help you with all of your insurance needs. Whether it be home, auto, life, commercial, and more, their agents will shop your rates to ensure you are receiving the best price for the coverage you need. Visit one of their offices near you. 220 West Dixon Boulevard in Shelby, 4835 Wilkinson Boulevard in Gastonia, and 7005 East Wilkinson Boulevard in Belmont. Your local service for insurance is All Care Insurance Services, serving this area since 1984.
Buying a home can seem like a daunting task, but it's really not with Homestar Financial. With a short phone call, we can get you pre-approved. Once pre-approved, you're free to shop for the home of your dreams. At Homestar Financial, we can tell you the price or payment range that you qualify for. Your realtor will appreciate that you took the time to get pre-approved. So call me today. Let's make buying a home a dream come true. With Homestar Financial, it's quick and easy with no surprises at closing. Call today.
Head to the hills to the Grandview Campground and RV Park. It's a 56-acre property located in the beautiful foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains on Highway 226 in Kaiser. The campground is right next to the gorgeous First Broad River. Enjoy the mountain creek that crosses the property. It's a family-friendly atmosphere with a list of amenities and activities. Visit their website at grandview.camp and like them on Facebook too. Open year-round.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. The electrical panel is the heart of your home's electrical system. Malfunctions can lead to hazards like fire or power outages, leaving your home at risk or in the dark altogether. Fixing it quickly will help keep you and your family safe. So trust our team of electrical experts at Mr. Sparky to get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Today, having choices at the end of life's journey is more important than ever. Choosing the proper way to honor a loved one is not an easy task. There are many emotional, personal, and spiritual issues to consider. Now, there is a new alternative to traditional burial and flame-based cremation. Foothills Aquamation is a water-based natural process that gently returns your loved one's remains to their natural ash form. Learn more at StameyTysingerFuneralHome.com or drop by their offices in Falston and in Cherryville.
And we're back on the Witherspoon Insurance pregame show with Shannon, Dennis, and Zach. Y'all are on.
Yep, we're back on, guys. We're going to finish out the show by picking some games. So across the board here, we'll start with you, Shannon. We got the Statesville Greyhounds playing East Lincoln Mustangs.
I think East Lincoln's going to be too much at home for Statesville. Dennis, I got it 38-14, East Lincoln.
All right, Dennis?
Well, I agree. East Lincoln being at home is definitely an advantage. I think Statesville is not as good as the history has been in the past. I'm going with East Lincoln 32 and Statesville 14.
I think you guys are on the track there. I saw East Lincoln, as I said. Statesville is not quite as good this year. East Lincoln playing at home. I'm going to go East Lincoln 34, Statesville 14. So
you're getting close.
We're getting close. We're getting close on that. So next game on the matchup this week, Stuart Kramer Storm going to Crest Chargers.
Dennis, I think this is game's already over, but I think Crest will be generous tonight. I think they'll score 63, and they'll give up 14 to Stuart Kramer.
And what was that score again?
63-14.
I'm just interested in who's going to be homecoming queen.
That's probably going to be the most.
And I'm not picking that one, no way. Yeah. But I'm afraid that the Chargers may have a little bit much for the Storm. The Storm is can be sort of rough sometimes, a little stormy. But I'm going to go with the Storm getting 14. I'm going to be generous because of the Crest
generous
defense.
Like Shannon.
Yeah. But I'm going to go with 72 for the Chargers.
Ooh, 72-14, 63-14.
Guys.
I'm also going to pick the Crest Chargers in this matchup. I'm also going to go with 63 as Shannon did. And I'm going to give Stuart Kramer, I'm going to give them 63-7 in that matchup. Next matchup is another homecoming game, another one we got on the station this week. We got the East Gaston Warriors traveling to the Cherryville Ironman.
Well, East Gaston's led by the quarterback named Cheryl. It's his third year. Left-handed quarterback. East Gaston's having a great year so far. I think they continue the win streak tonight, but I think it'll be 35-21. But what I was going to say, Cheryl's got a big running back, a big kid back there. He looks like he could be a trapping guard or something, but he runs the ball hard. I think, again, East Gaston will be too much for him. 35-21 over Cherryl.
Dennis?
Well, I concur with you, Shannon. I think East Gaston's running game and their overall improved play in the last couple of years, I picked them to win 38-16 over Cherryville.
I think it's pretty good scores on both sides. I had it. I was thinking 42-14 for East Gaston. I do think Cherryville will get the ball in the end zone a couple times. I think they might have playing against Shelby last week, coming in against East Gaston this week. They might have a little bit of relief going onto the field. So next matchup we got is Mr. Philip Russ going to be hosting the Chase Trojans against East Rutherford Cavaliers.
Well, again, we talked about this game earlier. You know, Chase is coming in, having a great year, but East Rutherford, they've built the foundation. Now they just got to build these wins up. I think Chase is going to be too much for East Rutherford to handle. It'll be close early, but I think Chase pulls away at the end. I've got it 35-20 over East Rutherford.
Well, I concur in the fact I think Chase is a little bit more overall depth in East Rutherford at this point, and I'm going with Chase 28-21.
Two for the Chase Trojans. I'm going to go with the home upset tonight with Mr. Philip Russ. I'm going to go with East Rutherford holding serve. I'm going to say they're going to win 21-20 at home tonight. Get their second win of the season. East Rutherford over Chase. So we'll see how that plays out. We're going to talk next game. We'll have the Shelby Golden Lions traveling to the Thomas Jefferson Grippersons.
Well, the Shelby is just right now. This is the part of the schedule that a lot of people don't like because they're talking about playing the 1A schools, but it is what it is. Thomas Jefferson's really struggling this year for various reasons or whatever reasons they are. But Shelby should have no problem tonight. Everybody should play 63-0 over Thomas Jefferson.
Dennis?
Well, the Lions are hungry, and Thomas Jefferson looks like fresh meat. And I'm not sure about the 63, but I'm going to go with 59.
Yeah, I think you guys are on. What about the Thomas Jefferson 0?
0.
Yep, I think you're on the thing there. I'm going to go with 56-0. Shelby, I think they pulled their starters early and get out of there. So I do want to go back to the another bracket right quick. We missed the Brevard Blue Devils playing the RS Central Hilltoppers. What do you got that, guys?
RS Central right now, I think in Rutherford County, they're the team nobody thinks about because of the success Chase has had and now with the resurgence of East Rutherford. But RS Central, they got a pretty good squad. They got two good running backs. A Hines kid, he's back there running the ball. I think they host Brevard tonight. Will win this one 21-7 over at the Palace.
Dennis?
Well, RS Central playing at home is certainly an advantage, and I would go with the 23 for RS and 14 for Brevard.
The two close games, I'm going to go with RS Central also tonight. I'm going to go with 28, and I'm going to give Brevard Blue Devils 14. 28-14, RS Central holding serve at home. We're going to travel over to the Bessemer City Yellow Jackets. They are hosting Carl Beam and the Highland Tech Rams coming in. Highland Tech looking for their first win. Bessemer City sitting there at 3-2, I believe, on the season. Might get the chance to go to 4-2. Shannon.
Yeah, Bessemer City. They've had a pretty successful preseason. Now they're into their conference part of their play, and I think they'll win this one easily tonight. Coach Short's doing some great things over there. Bessemer City 49, Highland Tech. I think they'll score 21.
Wow.
Yes? Yeah.
Well, I think Bessemer City's turned it around since the early part of the year. Maybe it's the opponents, maybe it's them, but I've got them winning 56-6 over Highland Tech.
Yeah, I'm looking at the same. I was in that 50 range. I was going to go with 56 also, Dennis, and I'm going to give Highland Tech also 21, 56-21 on the score tonight for that. The next one, the big matchup in West Lincoln. West Lincoln hosting the Blue Devils.
Yeah, Dennis, you talking about the Stover kid from Maiden. I think he'll get his yards tonight, but there's an Allen kid for West Lincoln quarterback, and you got to go with your family. I think West Lincoln wins this one 28-20.
Dennis?
Well, the West Lincoln Rebels are a fine team, and the Maiden Blue Devils are experiencing some success. And I told you the reasons I'm picking Maiden is because of Stover, the quarterback. And I'm going to go with 34-31 Maiden over West Lincoln.
I'm going to use one of my son. He had his words he had to go over this week for his English class, and he had a word called dejected. And I think West Lincoln's going to be dejected tonight. I think they're going to be heartbroken again. I think they're going to keep it close. I think Maiden's going to topple them tonight 34-28 at West Lincoln. 34-28 at West Lincoln. So next one up on the docket, we got Bandish Trojans hosting the East Burke Cavaliers. Shannon.
East Burke has a really good running back that's having a successful year, but Bandy's is having a great year. And I'm not a big Bandy's fan at all, but Bandy's, they're playing at home. They're tough to beat at home. I think Bandy's wins this one by 2 touchdowns, 35-21.
Dennis?
Well, I'm going with Bandy's. They are having a good year. And I'm going to go with Bandy's 49, East Burke 28.
Bandy's also, I believe, they're having a good year. I think it's going to be a little bit lower score, and I'm going to go with 28-24. Bandy's over at East Burke Cavaliers. Another good matchup we got going on. Lincoln traveling to Newton Conover Red Devils. Does Lincoln get their first win tonight?
Yes, Andre Boss, that's the kid's name, quarterback from Lincoln. He's going to have a big night tonight on the ground. Lincoln 27, Newton Conover 17.
Dennis?
Well, I'm going with the Lincoln Wolves tonight. I think we talked about them a little bit earlier, and I think this is the key game for Newton Conover. If they lose tonight, just stick a fork in them for this season. I've got Lincoln 34, Newton Conover 6.
Oh, big matchup difference. I was thinking of a big difference in score. Not that big, though. I'm going with the Lincoln and Wolves traveling up there, getting their confidence back. I think they're going to score 42, and I believe the Newton Conover Red Devils will score 14. Lincoln getting on the win column this week, 42-14 over Newton Conover Red Devils. Next one we got going on today is going to be the Kings Mountain Mountaineers hosting the North Gaston Wildcats. Shannon.
North Gaston, you said they're riding that one-game win streak,
yeah.
Right? They're ready for Bayer, but it's too bad they're having to go to Kings Mountain. Kings Mountain's all strides right now. Their defense is just phenomenal. The Kendrick kid for Kings Mountain, he committed to Norfolk State, I think, today, and they already have the Simpson kid going to Carolina. Kings Mountain's going to be just too much for North Gaston to handle. 63-0.
Dennis?
Well, 63-0.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going 69-7.
Not much difference there, so I'm with you guys. I'm going to go
1 point difference.
I'm going to go 56 for Kings Mountain. Pull the starters early. 0 North Gaston Wildcats. 56-0. Next one up, we got South Point Red Raiders traveling to Hunter Huskies.
Normally this game would be pretty good, but I think South Point is just too much to handle this year with Patrick Blee at quarterback. Obviously they're going to run that red bone offense, but they are putting the ball in the air some more. And so I think, again, you got to be disciplined when you play South Point, and you got to have a good team. Hunter Huss will not be able to contain them tonight. South Point 56, Hunter Huss 0.
Dennis.
Well, I kept it a little closer. I've got South Point with 34, Hunter Huss 13.
That's similar to the Lincoln game, the South Point Lincoln game. South Point came out the beginning of the season, beat Lincoln. I'm going to keep them with a 42-7 win over the Hunter Huskies tonight. Another close game should be with Ashbrook Green Wave traveling to the Forest View Jaguars. Shannon.
Yeah, Ashbrook, again, one of those teams that got destroyed by Crest last week. But, again, just knowing what they've had in the past, they've always got good athletes. They're always bigger, it seems like, than their opponent. But they just can't seem to put 2 and 2 together. It always equals 8 or something. I think tonight, though, they go to Forest View and they pick up that win that they desperately need. Maybe that helps them get in gear for their season. Ashbrook wins 24-21.
24-21, Dennis.
Well, Ashbrook is what we used to call in basketball an all-airport team. You know, they look like Tarzan, play like Jane. But Forest View, I think, is a little better on the offense than East Ashbrook is. And I'm going with them, Forest View 24 and Ashbrook 14.
I'm going to go with Ashbrook Green Wave going into Forest View tonight and defeating the defeating the Forest View Jaguars. I'm going to get that score of 28-24. 28-24. Big matchup we got on our list tonight. We talked a good bit about it early. Hickory Red Tornadoes traveling to the North Lincoln Knights.
Well, again, we talked about this one a while ago. Hickory, they're coming in again on all strides. They've had a big win last week. They're big. They're athletic. They're playing on the same turf they play at home. They're going to place a team, as Chip Carter mentioned a while ago, that's very well disciplined. But again, I think I don't care how disciplined North Lincoln could be. I don't think they're going to have the athletes to match up for Hickory, and I don't mean that any bad thing about that as far as their discipline goes for North Lincoln. But I think Hickory's just going to be too much. They're going to be too powerful. We've seen this in the past with teams around here. They have too many athletes for a team to handle, and I think that's going to be tonight. Hickory 42, North Lincoln 14.
Dennis.
Well, we're thinking along the same lines. I'm with Hickory here, 52-21 for North Lincoln.
Yeah, there's going to be a heavy dose of the big running back. I wish I could have remembered his name from last week. I think they're going to load him up, might send him out in the Wildcat a good bit. I think they're going to hit that line, hit it hard. I think North Lincoln is going to have a rough night. I think it's going to be the Hickory Red Tornadoes 56, the North Lincoln Knights 10, 56-10 against the North Lincoln Knights. And our last matchup wasn't on I couldn't find it on our list tonight, but I do want to bring up is the Star Mount versus the Mount Airy, two 5-0 teams.
Brady Stober.
Okay, Brady Stover. Okay. Right. Star Mount is going to be facing Mount Airy. Both teams are undefeated. What do you guys think tonight?
Well, Mount Airy in the first 5 games, they've given up 7 points. total, and that was the one team. It may have been last week, and so they're undefeated. They always have a good defense year in and year out. Starmount, we've got Coach Lloyd over there, local guy. I think he's brought a new era, new freshness to the Rams offense, and I think this will be a close game tonight. But I think Mount Airy, I think they'll be able to hold them, and I've got Mount Airy 21, Starmount 20.
Dennis, what do you think tonight for these guys?
Well, I'm a Greg Lloyd fan, and I know they have Mount Airy. Both teams are 5-0, but they have Mount Airy favored in this game by some people. I'm going to say that's not the case. It's going to be Starmount 28, Mount Airy 24.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to give our local guy the benefit of the doubt tonight. I think he comes out and I think he scores a little bit more than everybody's expecting against this Mount Airy defense. I'm going to go with Starmount 21, Mount Airy 20. Close game, and I think they pull it out in Starmount tonight. So that's going to end our show tonight. We're going to be getting out to our crews in a minute for all the radio listeners out there tonight, the YouTube listeners, our LincolnCounty.com listeners. So for you guys that are listening tonight, tune in to our radio show for Shannon and for Dennis. Thank you guys for giving your input tonight. And
no red zone tonight.
From what I understand, we won't have any red zone tonight. Kevin's out, and I was filling in. So,
but the games we'll still tweet the games.
We'll be still tweeting out the games.
Like
so
that.
Keep up with your Twitter page, and we'll be getting some scores out to you guys. We'll be gathering some scores, and we will have our post game show tonight for you guys as normal. So thank you guys.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock is our post game show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Tune back in to the post game show, and we'll go over to our other crews as we speak. So we'll be seeing you guys later tonight.
Well, for a rookie, not too bad.